and all the members of the mentee institutions under Paramarsh. Thank you, madam, for your wonderful presentation. Dear friends,
Thank you
now
very much.
we have
Indeed, it was a pleasure to meet you all.
great, ma'am. Now, friends, we have time for our second presentation. Uh, we uh, we are running out of time, I know. So, second presentation is based on the theme of IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, and what is IQAC's role in institution building. The speaker for the present second session is Professor B.S. Jadhav, the NAC coordinator of Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded. I would like to tell Dr. Priya ma'am that Sri Shivaji College is a leading college in this region, and it is affiliated to Swami Ramanand Tirtha Marathwada University, Nanded, which is a A-grade state university. And Professor B.S. Jadhav, sir, who is a Dean Faculty of Humanities, is also a coordinator of NAC of Swami Ramanand Tirtha Marathwada University. We are lucky we have got two resource persons from the two bodies that are always guiding to many institutions. Now, friends, can we start the second presentation? So before we start the second presentation, uh, I need to introduce Professor B.S. Jadhav, sir. I'm sure that all of my participant friends, those who are with from the state of Maharashtra, they are already familiar with Professor B.S. Jadhav, sir, because he is a wonderful teacher and his enthusiasm is also noteworthy. He has earlier also worked in the capacity of Dean, Faculty of Arts, Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, and many other. Just a moment. Yeah. So I was talking about Professor B.S. Jadhav, sir, and he has been a dedicated teacher of English language, and in his tenure, the university has introduced one thing that Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded was the first state university in the entire country to introduce MCQ examination pattern, which was later, after a year, you adopted by University Grants Commission and National Testing Agency for conducting NET type examinations in MCQ board. So he is such a visionary person who can cross the limits and see the future. I am sure that even in today's presentation, he will tell us something beyond the ordinary, or his out of box ideas will come out in his talk to this FDP course. One more thing which I have to mention while I introduce Professor Jadhav, sir, is that his tenure as a director of International Student Center of Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University was also remarkable. He is having a rapport, very good rapport with Indian Council for Cultural Relations, New Delhi, as well as many countries in the world wherein students come to Swami Ramanand Tirth Marathwada University, Nanded. May I request Professor B.S. Jadhav, sir, to begin his presentation and address the participants of this UGC Paramarsh sponsored 1 week online FDP on NAC assessment and accreditation. Professor Jadhav, sir, please.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sure that, sir, you will off the annotations. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Just a moment. Principal Dr. Jadhav, sir, is also there. Unmute केलं मी तुम्हाला. Jadhav sir, Principal Jadhav sir, please.
Hello. Welcome back to B.S. Jadhav sir.
हाँ नमस्कार.
हा नमस्कार. आज जास्त वेळ घेत नाही, सुरू करा सर. फक्त
हो.
तुमचं स्वागत करतो महाविद्यालयातर्फे. आम्ही डॉक्टर रोहिदास नितोंडे आणि आमची सर्व टीम. करा सर, वेळ कमी आपल्याकडे, सुरू करा. थँक्यू सर.
हो. Yes. Good afternoon, all of you. Just now we have heard a very nice and informative lecture delivered by Professor Narayanan. I'll continue ahead. My talk will be just for maybe for 45 minutes, because I have been watching that this presentation began at 11 o'clock. And now it's almost 1 o'clock. I don't want to really try the patience of all the delegates who are present over here. At the outset, I am thankful to Principal B.U. Jadhav and Dr. Rohidas Nitonde. The title of my presentation is Role of IQAC in Institutional Development. In this presentation, I will not speak much about the 7 criteria or how to go about all the technicalities about facing the re-accreditation process. What I will be highlighting is the actual down-to-earth experiences that are encountered while working on the IQAC. What sort of
Sir, I think we have to go to fourth menu: home, insert, design, animation, and then slideshow, and begin slideshow. Yeah, from beginning.
Yes. Now that's fine. So I'll not go into the technicalities about how the institutes are to face the re-accreditation process or to go for accreditation by the NAC. What I'm more concerned is for the last almost 8 months, I have been heading the NAC cell. And while heading this cell, what are the problems that are encountered by the NAC coordinator or the IQAC director and the IQAC coordinators in various affiliated colleges? I mean, there are some practical problems which are encountered. Now, when I say that how the IQAC leads the institution to its development. So first, let's begin with, I have just selected one definition of given by the Society for International Development, Israel. So what are the various parameters for the development of any institution or organization? In this definition, we find that the first thing is growth. There has to be progress. There has to be a positive change. I mean, mere growth and progress leading to negativity and negative changes, it cannot be called as development. So positive change is very, very essential. And it may be addition of physical, economic, environmental, social, and demographic components. This definition, while we apply it to any particular institution, especially the institution of higher education, then when we speak about the growth, the progress, and what are the demographic components in this context, how the student ratio or how the general enrollment ratio how can they be enhanced, and so on and so forth. Development, the second aspect is development is useful and visible, but it may not necessarily be immediately visible. When you speak of quality enhancement, whenever the IQAC takes any initiatives in this direction of quality enhancement, you cannot expect that the changes are going to be visible within a short span of time. You have to wait, and maybe later on you shall be able to notice these changes. They also should include an aspect of quality change and the creation of conditions for a continuation of that change. The internal quality assurance cell of any institute, it must aspire for the continual process of change. It must work in coordination with the management and in the coordination with the administration to see how conducive an atmosphere can be created, so that this change which is coming, that change, it should not be obstructed and it should go on smoothly in continuation. So when we speak about the development of the institution, we have to keep in mind growth, its progress, positivity is very, very essential, and then maybe the economic, the environmental, and the demographic criteria. This change, it may not be visible immediately. Over a span of time, you can gauge the quality enhancement of that particular institute. The IQAC team, it should always bear certain parameters in mind. Now, what are these things? The IQAC members, they should be well versed with the policies of the central government. If the central government is planning, say, to have some sort of a national education policy, then the IQAC members should be well versed with the proposed guidelines of the national education policy. The IQAC members should also be aware of the general mandate, the quality mandate of the UGC. And more than that, we also have to keep in mind that what are the core values of the NAC for which this entire exercise is being undertaken. So, according to NAC Bangalore, they have cited 5 core values. The first one is giving top priority to the national development. Whatever exercise takes place at any institute of higher education, it has to ultimately contribute to the development of the nation. Then the second value is of fostering and inculcating global competencies. While doing this, we cannot afford to turn a blind eye to the local needs and the local necessities or the local situations around us. Keeping all those things in mind, we have to train, we have to guide our students in the direction that how they will be competent at the global level also. The third important core value rated by NAC is inculcating a value system. Now, values, professional ethics, and other ethical values, they cannot be neglected. Inculcating the value system amongst the students and amongst the stakeholders, it becomes very, very essential. The value system, it cannot be just for the students. It has to be for ourselves, it has to be for the teachers also. Then promotion of use of technology. Going with the changing times, we have to be well versed with the use of technology, and we have to see how the use of technology, it can be promoted amongst the youngsters, and also it can be employed for the learning and teaching. The final core value is quest for excellence. Now, the IQAC should never be content with its functioning. It should never be content by merely going through the statistics, that what is the proportion, say, of the students appearing for the exam, and what is the percentage of results, and so on and so forth. We cannot afford to be content with the performance of the learners in the mode of the mark sheet results. We have to see to it that the actual performance is consistent with the performance of the student that he has achieved in his examination, or that which is reflected on his marks sheet. So these are the 5 core values emphasized by NAAC. According to the guidelines issued by NAAC in April 2020, this is the structure of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell. The chairperson is the head of the institution, and there is a provision for the nomination of teachers. They may be from 3 to 8 teachers, and these teachers, they should represent all levels. So, I mean, mere criteria of seniority should not be stuck up to. Teachers' representation has to be from all levels. Then one member will be from the management. There is also a provision for senior administrative officers from the university or from the college. Then one nominee each from the local society, students and alumni. Further, again, there is a provision for one more nominee from the employers or the industrialists and the other stakeholders. And finally, it is the IQAC coordinator or the director of the IQAC who shall be the ex officio secretary of this IQAC committee. Now, going by this, you will find that the number of members will be somewhere around 15 to 21, and the criteria for the nomination of all these people, it has been clearly given by the NAAC. We also have to be aware about the time duration of the various members. NAAC insists that the nominated members, their duration, it has to be for a time span of 2 years. In many instances, we find that the duration of the IQAC, it goes on for a very, very long time. I personally feel that if we are really concerned about promoting new leadership, then we have to see that new faces also should be given a chance, and they should be promoted and offered an opportunity to work on this important committee. Now, there are many notions and misconceptions about the IQAC while working in practicality. I have seen, after visiting many colleges, that the IQAC members, they often encounter different sort of problems. Now, how is this committee, how is the IQAC cell perceived by the various stakeholders? How do your fellow teachers, what do they really think about the IQAC member or the IQAC coordinator? Are the students really aware about the IQAC? How does the management react to the IQAC? are the alumni really in touch with the IQAC members? And what do the other stakeholders in the society and the parents think about the IQAC? What is the opinion of the principal when it comes to the monitoring of the IQAC? Of course, the principal, he is the head. He is the head of this IQAC team. Now, it is indeed very interesting to note that many fellow teachers, I mean, they might really not be very comfortable with this body which is called as IQAC. Maybe because they pester them a lot, asking for data, continually asking them to furnish this information and that information and so on and so forth. If the IQAC is what you can say inactive, then there are instances where the students also are really not much aware about this existence. It is only when the time for reaccreditation comes that the IQAC cell again it gets active, and after the reaccreditation is over, then again it goes into that sort of stagnancy. Such things, they should not happen. How does the college management perceive the IQAC team? I mean, are they really very comfortable with the formation of the IQAC? Do they really entertain the suggestions and the requests and the appeals of this particular committee? Or does the management regard the IQAC as a sort of a burden, that it always comes with some sort of suggestions and demands which have certain financial implications and so on and so forth? Now, different IQAC members who must have who have enrolled for this particular FDP course, they must have had various sorts of experiences, sometimes maybe embarrassing, sometimes maybe humiliating, where the IQAC members, they might feel that they are much neglected, or when they approach the people, the people or the fellow teachers or the management, they might not be very happy with it. I mean, the IQAC members, they have to be very what you can say open to such types of misconceptions. They have to try their level best to see that how they can be able to convince all the stakeholders. The IQAC members always have to be in touch with the alumni. I mean, it should not just happen once in a while that some IQAC mail shoots off to the alumni, and the alumni, they feel that perhaps now it is again a call for funding or some such type of a thing, and so on and so forth. So I mean, it is up to us, the members of the IQAC, that how we take all these stakeholders into confidence, how we convince them about the needs and the necessities about quality enhancement, and how to address the various issues, so that many misconceptions about the IQAC, they will get rid of. Now, what is the responsibility of this IQAC? Again, NAAC emphasizes that the prime task is to develop a system of conscious, consistent and catalytic improvement. I mean, it has to be a conscious process. It should not happen that at the end of 4 or 5 years, again, when you are preparing for facing the NAAC, at that time, whatever things have happened in the last 4 or 5 years, they are brought to your notice, and then the IQAC team, it takes it as an opportunity to incorporate all those things to highlight the achievements of the institution. I mean, that should not be the functioning. We have to make deliberate and conscious efforts that this is our timeline. This is how we have to go in this particular direction. What should be our short-term goals? What should be our long-term goals? And we should aspire to achieve these goals. So this quality enhancement issue, it has to be a conscious effort. It has to be consistent, and it may not be direct. It may be a catalytic process for the overall performance of the institution. Then all the efforts, they have to be channelized, and measures of the institution towards promoting its holistic academic excellence. So all the efforts taken by the IQAC, they have to be channelized towards promoting the overall or holistic academic excellence of the institution. Now, what is the significance of IQAC for any institute of higher education? The IQAC must always be aware that it has to lead. It is the engine of this all quality enhancement and the academic development of the institute. It has to shoulder the responsibility of being a leader, and it must function accordingly. The IQAC coordinator is an ex officio member of the college development committee also. The IQAC should firmly stand for values in an unwavering manner. Many a times, when the IQAC is confronted with certain crucial issues, then the IQAC should not compromise when it comes to values. I mean, this position of the coordinator of IQAC or the director of IQAC or being a member of the IQAC, it is not meant for cherishing or maintaining interpersonal relations. Okay, we have to cherish the values, and there should not be any sort of compromise when it comes to values. According to the Maharashtra Public Universities Act 2016, Section 95 speaks about the establishment of this IQAC. In different states, they might be having different types of acts which speak about the internal quality assurance cell. Now, what really can the IQAC do for students? Whatever the early presenters they have said, I won't be speaking much about that. But I do feel that it is the responsibility of the IQAC that at the beginning of every academic session, they should insist upon the induction program for students. This induction program, it may be left to the various departments that they can take care of, but the IQAC has to monitor. It should not happen that certain department does not conduct, or certain classroom does not conduct the induction program for the students. So the IQAC has to be very, very cautious about this. Then when it comes to assessment in affiliated colleges, again we have the internal assessment component, which is the continual assessment, and then it is the semester end assessment, which is undertaken by the university, where the college IQAC does not have much role. But when it comes to the internal assessment, then the IQAC cell, it has to ensure that this continuous assessment is taking place in a fair manner. Maybe sometimes the IQAC might have to interfere, or they can seek information from the different heads of the department with regards to the internal evaluation that is taking place. and that also has to be monitored. We also have to be aware about the learning outcomes. Whether these learning outcomes, they are really tested through the assignments, through the project works, or if it is the internal assessment, what sort of tests are taken, what sort of question papers are set, whether these questions, they lead to finding whether the learning outcomes have been achieved or not. So again, this becomes pertinent for the internal evaluation, where the IQAC might like to see how the evaluation process takes place within that college in different types of departments. Then again, we have to see how we can be empathetic towards the students. It is how we can build up their emotional quotient. That is what I would also call it as personal counseling. Just the previous speaker, Ms. Narayanan, she gave a very nice example that how one girl student from MSc, I mean, she had gone to that sort of extent of suicidal tendencies, and just by merely listening to her, that event or that untoward incident, it was prevented. So the IQAC members, they have to be open to the personal counseling. Though every institute, it has the internal complaints committee, apart from that, the IQAC should monitor that whether the ICC is functioning effectively. The IQAC should also be open to such type of personal counseling, and this has to be made known to the students. With regards to employability, again, the colleges, they do have the career counseling cell, and again, here it also becomes the pertinent role of the IQAC. The IQAC cannot suffice by saying that there is a separate counseling cell, or there is a separate internal complaints committee, and so on and so forth. So whatever issues are related to the students, the IQAC has to be very keen, and it must be always aware to the issues of the students. Whether critical thinking is also being addressed or not, that should also be a focus. IQAC can be very, very instrumental in introducing certain MOOC programs. Though the entire credit structure of the affiliated colleges, it depends upon the university. In spite of that, if there is any provision for 20% of credits to be got online through the massive online courses, if that provision is not there, I'm not sure whether it is available everywhere in all other universities. At the SRTM University, it is available. But if it is not available, then the IQAC can also encourage the students for persuading the students and encouraging them to take certain add-on courses. The IQAC also has to be concerned about the teachers. I mean, what my observation has been is that the IQAC and the fellow faculty teachers, I mean, they might feel that they are placed against one another. The IQAC has to incorporate the interests of the faculty members. As they must be aware about the interests of the learners, they also have to be very, very vocal about the academic interests of the teachers and their promotions. The faculty enrichment and how to exercise documentation. Many a times we find teachers who hail from diverse circumstances. Many teachers, they are not well versed with ICT. Many teachers, they have their own limitations. The IQAC cannot afford to, point out the inefficiencies of their fellow teachers. They have to be very considerate. They have to be very open. They have to be always in a mood of assistance towards the teachers. And the teachers who might find it difficult to document, they have to be guided properly in this exercise of documentation. The IQAC should cherish interdependence. I have seen people where the IQAC body members, they feel that if somebody is not cooperating, then we should not ask him, or we can neglect him and we can sidetrack him and so on and so forth. Oh, it is a sort of a, shall I say, common experience for all the IQAC coordinators, that you go on asking for information again and again, and sometimes you feel that people, they are really not what you can say, doing their part in this entire exercise. But I personally feel that our attitude, it has to be extremely positive. We really do not know what are the circumstances and what are the conditions under which our faculty members, they are not responding to our appeals. And that is why, if somebody does not respond, I mean, it is that again, repetition, again and again, we have to go on making demands. We have to go on persuading teachers to furnish certain information, and we should not lose hope. We should not, lose our calm. We have to cherish interdependence, and it is always better to have people together with us. The IQAC also has to be proactive in encouraging teachers to go for e-content development. So these are the things where I feel that the IQAC really can support the teachers. In the universities of Maharashtra, the career advancement proposals of the faculty members, they are forwarded through the IQAC. It is only and only when the IQAC will attest the CAS proposal of the teachers that it shall be taken into consideration. So here, I mean, what I feel is that the IQAC has to be very open to the promotional issues about the teachers. But I said that when it comes to value, there should not be any sort of compromise. So quality has to be quality. If the quality issues are not addressed by the teachers, they have to be made aware of that, and things have to be got done from them accordingly. But the IQAC should really favor and take the interest of the teachers in mind. Now, the IQAC has to be very open. It has to be very thoughtful in identifying the best practices of the institution. When you say best practice, it has to be a recurring sort of a practice. There may be several practices where the local and the global competencies are taken care of. There might be certain practices which are related to the promotion of values. Practices ought to be result oriented, because when you go for the NAAC re-accreditation, you have to show the evidence that if you say that such and such is a best practice, then you have to furnish the evidence. Without evidence, you cannot claim that it is a sort of a best practice. Best practices can also be of the nature of our corporate social responsibility or our social obligations. Again, best practice also must have that sort of pursuit for excellence. Whatever has been done, after the inculcation of the best practice, there has to be some advancement, there has to be some enhancement in that. According to the Constitution of India, the Article 51A, subsection J, it says that it is the fundamental duty of every Indian citizen to aspire for the quest for excellence in individual pursuits as well as in collective pursuits. So this is a fundamental duty of all the Indian citizens. Our pursuit for excellence, it has to be for the betterment of the institute. It has to be betterment of the nation. When we speak of best practices, again, we have to be very, very aware that whether our best practices are they also inclusive in nature. When we speak of inclusiveness, normally we speak about the deprived sections of the society, we speak about the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. We also ought to be very, very local about the transgender community. I mean, what does the institution do for drawing the transgender community into higher education? I mean, it is a very, very pathetic condition that today we shall find that the ratio of the transgender community coming to a higher education is almost zero, almost zero. You don't see these people aspiring for higher education. So all the institutes of higher education, they have to make special efforts, and these special efforts, they can be done through the IQAC. That what are the measures, how are we going to identify the transgender community within the city, within the community, and what are the measures that we are going to take to welcome them in this area of higher education. Just what Ms. Narayanan said, that she had failed to convince her management of that institute to give some sort of relaxation and to retain that girl who had dropped out. I mean, we also have to take special efforts to see how this transgender community can be pulled into this flow of higher education. In fact, at the university level, we have framed a transgender policy to attract students for the higher education. And ultimately, all the best practices, they have to lead to the betterment of the nation. Now, what would be the role of IQAC against the challenges that we are encountering, the pandemic of COVID-19? I am really not sure that how long this lockdown in one way or the other is going to extend. In some parts, you will find that there are different norms of lifting this lockdown. Again, after a couple of days, again that green zone turns into orange or it turns to red, and again the entire exercise done by the government, it again has to be altered. And ultimately all these things, they are really affecting the education sector. We have to think of the worst. We have to anticipate the worst and think what best we can do to encounter or to address this never before seen serious situation of COVID-19. Right now, we are experiencing a sort of a temporary setback for urbanization as well as globalization. Both of these things, they for the time being, they seem to be coming to a sort of a halt. against this backdrop, then what is going to happen to our general enrollment ratio? The UGC quality mandate, it had aspired for taking up the GER to 30 in this current academic year 2020. That was the target. Right now, what is the general enrollment ratio? And under such circumstances of this pandemic, I mean, how is it going to adversely affect this ratio? And then what is it that we shall have to do to address this issue? The IQAC, being the leader or being the engine of the institution of higher education, it has to contemplate on this. There are several anxiety issues of students as well as teachers. I mean, we can understand the anxiety of the students, but it is not a surprise that many teachers are also undergoing through a sort of anxiety. You do not know what will be the nature of tomorrow's classroom. Many teachers are worried about salaries and maybe some sort of lurking fears in the mind that if this pandemic it goes beyond control, then we have to be ready for the worst. What will be the measures taken by the central government? What will be the measures implemented by the state governments? What shall be our duty towards the society and towards the nation, and how we are going to what we can say, control, address our own anxieties, as well as we are going to address the anxiety of the students. And in case if the colleges are not going to open as it is planned right now, that we are going to have our examination from 1st July to 31st July, and then in the month of August our term is going to begin. If these things they do not happen, then actually what will be the role of the IQAC and what will be the role of the teaching fraternity at large? That what in which capacity we shall be doing our duty of promoting and encouraging the students. Shall we have to come ahead with some indigenous model of teaching, learning? We have to be open to that also. So the role of IQAC under the serious situation of the pandemic, I would urge all the fraternity members as well as the IQAC to seriously think upon this and anticipating the worst. I mean, what things we can plan to see to it that the general enrollment ratio is not adversely affected by this entire pandemic. Here I have devised certain principles for the IQAC, those people who are members of the IQAC. Out of my personal experience, I have devised 2 principles for the IQAC members. And the first principle is by Francis Bacon. He says, read not to contradict and confute, nor to believe and take for granted, nor to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. All the IQAC members are requested that whatever documents you will be seeking from your fellow teachers, you are to read not to contradict and confute. We don't want any sort of contradiction or unnecessary sort of conflict, nor to believe and take for granted. If somebody gives you something that this is what I have done, you are neither to believe it or take it for granted. Okay. Nor to find talk and discuss. We are not to make any loose talk, because the IQAC coordinator of any college, the IQAC director of any university, he has in front of him the entire details about all the employees of that organization, teaching as well as non-teaching employees. because when these proposals for promotion come, they go to the IQAC. At the end of every academic year, you have to submit the performance-based appraisal report to the IQAC. And that is why the IQAC coordinator, he knows who has done what during the last 2 months, who has published what, and so on and so forth. So we are not to indulge in talk and discourse, no sort of gossip based on the information which has come to us by the virtue of that particular post, but to weigh and consider. So whatever data is available to the IQAC, it has to be weighed impartially and it has to be taken into consideration for the welfare of the institute and for the welfare of the teachers. So that is the first principle that I would recommend for the IQAC. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. We have to be very, very positive and we have to be thoroughly professional. The second principle I would suggest, friends, this is my last slide, okay? So I mean, you need not feel worried that I might prolong. The second principle that I recommend for the IQAC members is, it is based upon the theory propounded by Kimberly Gerson. She says that we have two types of language users. One is a perceiver and one is a judger. Now, what is meant by a perceiver? The language user who is called as a perceiver is that he listens to the talk, he listens to the information. He is a patient listener. He will never ever interrupt when somebody is speaking to him. So he has good listening skills. The IQAC members ought to be perceivers. They must possess good listening skills. Unless you listen, you may not be in a position to do justice to the role of the coordinator IQAC. According to Kimberly Gerson, some language users, they are judges. I mean, they don't have that sort of patience to listen to what people are speaking to them. So when somebody speaks, the judger, he interrupts and he puts a full stop to the dialogue of the speaker. He is never in a mood to listen to his fellow teachers or to the others. So judger might be a sort of a bad person to be a member of the IQAC. So we have to be good listeners, we have to be perceivers, and impatient listening or judging without listening, it is a serious flaw which the IQAC members cannot afford to behave in that way. The final thing is the success of this internal quality assurance cell. It can be likened to the success of a drama. When a dramatist writes a play, his job is over. But the true success of a play, it depends upon multiple factors. How is the direction? How is the production? Who are the actors? Whether the actors are delivering the dialogues properly or not? What are the light effects? What are the scenic effects? So the success of a play, it depends upon multiple factors. And similarly, the success of the IQAC cell, it also depends upon multiple factors. The sole coordinator or the entire IQAC team cannot turn out to be successful if the other stakeholders, they are not involved in this process. And that is why I feel that these two principles are very, very essential for the IQAC members. So this was my brief talk. If there are any queries or any questions, I would love to answer them. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Professor Jadhav sir, for your wonderful presentation on the role of IQAC in institution development. You covered both the things, how an institution can be benefited out of proactive IQAC, as well as you made many of us who are IQAC members and coordinators realize our own responsibilities, and also you spoke on our behalf. You explored many of the challenges of the IQAC people also. It was a kind of surgical operation of IQAC in the institutionalization of IQAC. Sir, you started with core values of NAAC, composition of IQAC, and most important thing is misconception of IQAC in most of the institutions. Many institutions, as you rightly said, that people are not aware about the existence of IQAC. Let us institutionalize it. Again, the most important thing is that what IQAC has to do for students, teachers, and how to identify the best policies. Your lecture has given us two basic principles for the IQAC. Sir, it reminded us that as all the people having the constitutional positions in the country, they take oath, they sworn in a position, they take oath of confidentiality and of that designation. Your last few minutes, they were reminding the IQAC members and coordinators that how responsible they need to be while they are performing the role of the coordinator of IQAC or a member of IQAC in an institution. Sir, thank you very much for your enlightenment, your views, and your guidance. I'm sure that you are always there with Sri Shivaji College, Parbhani, and I assure all the participants listening to me in this FDP course that you can approach Dr. B.S. Jadhav sir anytime for getting his guidance. Thank you, sir, for being with us. I know that time is far, but still the participants have some questions. May I open Professor Dr. B.S. Jadhav sir's presentation for the discussion? If participants have some questions, please raise your hand. We may have 2 to 3 questions only. And I have with me Rohit. Can you hear my voice, Rohit? Rohit Mahadule.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Ask your
Yes,
question
sir.
directly.
Okay, sir. In the members of IQAC team, is it necessary that all should be permanent faculties, or we can use the members like those who are on ad hoc or CHB but working for a long period of time in the or joined to the institution?
Actually, that is something which is open-ended. The guidelines of NAAC, they have kept it open-ended. They have just said 3 to 8 teachers from all levels. I mean, one level or one category, you can also keep it for the contractual basis or who are not permanent. I mean, a person like me, he would
Yes.
be open. He would be open for having one IQAC member from the that category also.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Really, sir, since we have alumni and other stakeholders in the institution who are not on the roll, likewise, it is really open-ended. I have one more participant. Dr. Manwar sir, please.
Jadhav sir.
हाँ बोलो सर, नमस्कार.
Namaskar, namaskar. Actually, what you are talking about role of IQAC for student support induction program. So what
sir.
actually you mean by induction program for student? Means what IQAC members or IQAC unit as such is supposed to do for student or induction program?
Actually, the IQAC has to take the initiative of conducting these induction programs at the level of various departments. I mean, if it is the job of the concerned department to undertake such programs, but if some department, say for some or the other reason, I mean, does not organize such induction programs, they have to be made mandatory. And the IQAC has to take the lead. Maybe one of the IQAC members can also attend that induction program and give information to the students about what sort of the college atmosphere is going to be, how will the classes or the practicals be conducted, and so on and so forth, which has to be given by that respective department. But apart from that, when it comes to counseling, I mean, the IQAC can always have a dialogue with the students during the induction program, and it can enlighten the students with all those things that are something which are beyond the capacity of that department.
Right, very said correctly. But actually, what practically speaking, you must be also aware of the fact that IQAC is not in contact, or IQAC department as such, or members, they are not in contact with students. In many of the institutes.
So I mean, that's what in my presentation also I highlighted. What are the notions and the misconceptions? So the IQAC has to be proactive. Okay, I mean, they have to be proactive, and they must be in touch with the students.
Right, very good. Because mostly it has been seen that at the institution level, NAC committee has just become an agency of collecting documents throughout the years.
Yeah. So I mean, that sort of bureaucratic way is not justifiable.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes.
The next is Ganpat Aglave.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, Jadhav sir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, my question is, can the most junior person in the institute be the IQAC coordinator?
No. The junior person cannot be the coordinator.
Sir, in my college, after 6 months, principal has assigned me the letter to be a coordinator of institution. Being there, so many teachers who did their job for 15 or 16 years, and I have carrying been the IQAC coordinator post. I am worried about there won't be any problem in future. But under my coordinatorship, NAC accreditation, first time accreditation has been done of my college. So this I wanted to be clear from you. Thank you, sir.
No, actually, as per the guidelines, the NAC insists that it has to be one of the senior faculty members. But say if the conditions at some particular institute where the senior members, they might be reluctant, then maybe the principal is free to exercise his discretionary powers.
Okay, sir. Okay,
there under such circumstances, he can identify. No, that won't be that way. It won't be a problem. If in case any senior member is interested in becoming, if he has that potential, if he is well versed with the ICT, data management, and so on and so forth, his communication skills are good, and if he feels that he is being ignored, then maybe he can just appeal. He can request the principal, and maybe the principal can reconsider that. Okay, is it clear?
Thank you, sir. Then we have Anita Linge.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Sir.
Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Practices for college